Well, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending where you are right now. Welcome to our Practice the Power Academy webcast. And yes, you are looking at a dude with a construction hat, a hammer, and a yield sign, basically. What we're going to do today is actually kick off our business planning season with a couple different things. Today, what I'm going to do is give you a broad-based outline what I think are some of the best practices on how to construct and actually go through a business planning process. I'll also outline for you what the next couple of weeks look like in terms of just deliverables, and that way we can formulate a plan. And as a reminder, if you haven't done so already, in the email invitation that brought you to our Wednesday webcast, in that email is also an invitation for the three-part business planning live webcast series. So a couple questions are emailed to me very quickly. Let me cover them. Is that yes, there are three segments. The content starts at noon Eastern, goes to 4 o'clock on Monday the 19th, Tuesday the 20th, and Wednesday the 21st. It is not the same thing 3 times. Module 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right, in 3 different sessions. A couple of you have asked, how's this going to work? The way it's going to work in the business planning series, basically, is that we are going to go ahead and I'm going to replicate what I typically do live over 2 or 3 days. So yes, we will be going question by question in the Business Planning Center with the business plan, all 8 modules. And whether you do it online or grab the PDFs and want to follow through that way, totally up to you. So just some questions on that. And before we get into today's subject matter, just some reminders very quickly. You know, I do these Academy webcasts as a way of giving back to all of you for being a part of our family, if you will. Whether you're a part of the Elite Access family or the member family, I value your time for being here, and so this is my way of giving back. Secondly, we are recording this, and on my YouTube channel, Coach Joe Lucas, there will be a replay of this and actually all the webcasts that we do. So if you miss anything, not a challenge. So Tim asked a question, so we'll do a little round robin. So Tim, the way you get the PDF is if you're an Elite Access member, you'd go to the Business Planning Center. And in the paragraph there, you'll see it says download the PDFs for both the review and recap and the business plan. So based on your membership status, and I don't know that offhand, you'll be able to access it that way. So hopefully that answers your question. And we'll do some Q&A. So when I'm done with everything today, let me go through what I need to go through. We'll have about 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A if we need it. I'll answer anything about today. And then obviously about anything about the process. So again, just recording it and so on. So today we're going to go over kind of the global, how we do things. The next 2 Wednesdays, this is important. The next 2 Wednesdays, I'm going to focus on the review, recap, and benchmarking process. So this is where we're going to sit for 2 sessions and deconstruct this year. I find if you're going to sit there and plan the future, you better take a look at the past. Because what you want to do is those things that you're excellent with, you want to bring with us, right? So if you do some things really well, hey, let's bring them with us, right? And those things that you know you need to improve upon, you know, well, let's focus on that. Now, the good news is what I've decided for this year is no matter what your membership status is, so whether you're a Elite Access member or you're just a member, you will have access to the online part of the review and recap. So like you can go to PracticePower Academy, business plan builder, and go into the review and benchmarking, and you will have full access to that. That's my gift to you. So even if you don't join us for the rest, you'll still get something out of it, and we're going to cover that next week. But today, let me go ahead and start talking about the process in general. Okay, so there's a couple things real quick. Number one, you know, some people ask, why do we do the plan? Like, why do business planning? You know, it never really works. I'm always disappointed. I forget where it is. All these things. Let me explain my core beliefs around why to do planning. First off, you know, and here's been my shift as a coach in the last probably 10 years or so. You know, when I first came into what I do, before really anybody else was doing it, you know, I was known as the guy who can get you from point A to point B. I was an incredible taskmaster. I was very incredibly focused on the business for my clients. And I noticed something that was very interesting to me. I had guys and gals doubling their businesses, making all the money they thought they wanted to make, all the production. And at the end of all that, a lot of them were still not happy, and worse, were not fulfilled. And I realized my mistake as a coach was, because I'm a business coach, was to, you know, lay out all the KPIs and the segmentation and the marketing plans and the daily game plans and task, right? Focus. But if it doesn't go anywhere, if it doesn't at the end of the day give you what you want most, which is happiness, fulfillment, right? Those emotional states, when we'll talk about those as part of our process, it's got to be both. So one of the major shifts I made about a decade ago was that I took the business plan and then encapsulated it into an overall life and business plan. So we're going to design both this month as part of our process, okay? That's why it's important. It's not just about, you know, what a lot of people think a business plan is a bunch of numbers. And I literally got one the other day. I'm referred to a great advisor. You know, we'll see if we end up doing some work together. And I said, look, send me over your business plans. One of the questions I always ask. And what was interesting about that was that when I got their business plan, it was 2 pages, which is fine, but it was all numbers. How many clients I needed, average AUM, average fees, average, you know, gross revenue, expenses, projected, you know, gross income, taxes. Then we get into all that, and I'm sitting there going, I have a spreadsheet here. And I know some of you do your planning on a spreadsheet. And while that'll help you, that's a part of it, it has to have context. And what I'm going to do in our series this year is give you context. The second thing is clarity. You know, at the end of the day, you need to know and you need to articulate and make a declaration of truly what it is you want without fear. And I find a lot of times with advisors, and I think in human beings in general, 2 things. People get out there so far and are so big picture, so grandiose, so global that it's almost unbelievable what they want to accomplish, and then others are playing it so close to the vest, so safe, because they don't want to stretch themselves that even when they achieve something, it doesn't do anything for them. So 2 things. We're going to gain clarity on what you want, but also more importantly, why do you want it? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to double your business or do this or do that or go independent or open up your own shop or whatever it happens to be for you, right? Why? So that's going to be part of the plan that we do this month as part of our series. Here's the other thing. It's really, when you think about, you know, I like to work in terms of extrapolations, right? So, you know, here's kind of, and I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So we're going to build a 5-year strategic plan. Then we're going to build a 2017 plan. And then what we're going to do is chunk it down into our monthly game plan, right? The 1 page you see on PracticePower, right? We chunk it down. Some of you then chunk it further down into a weekly game plan. And then all of us, hopefully, are using the daily game plans, right? But how can you go ahead and create a daily game plan or a monthly game plan if you don't have the context, the end result that you're looking for? And this is what the planning process, if done properly, this is what the planning process will give you. Not just a strategic vision, but then extrapolate it all the way down to where here's what I need to do today in order to eventually get to here. It all has to make sense. It all has to align. And what I find is you know, a lot of advisors, they can tell you what they want 5 years from now or even 1 year from now, but then if I say to you, okay, what has to happen every day for you to pull that off? I normally hear things like, well, I've got to do marketing. Well, what kind of marketing? You know, I've got to do reviews. Well, what kind of reviews do you have to do? How many, right? Like, there's not clarity. There's not measurability. There's concepts, right? And concepts by nature are vague, not measurable, and sometimes not even executable. So we want to be very clear on that. Okay? So here's a question, and all of you have been down through, most of you have been down through this process. Why don't you think advisors do a plan? Or in my mind, a proper planning process. So first of all, most of you don't know what a proper planning process is, just because, you know, as we all did a lot, we grew up in this industry, right? Whether it was a branch manager or your sales director or your training director, you know, business plans were how much business are you going to do next year? What type of business are you going to do next year? What's the asset base going to look like? It was all based on numbers, so the branch is going to extrapolate out and figure out what their numbers are going to look like. It was a swag, right, which is stupid wild guess. Pulled out body parts, right? There was no real thought put to it. And, you know, a lot of advisors, quite frankly, would do their business plan the last day of the year and, you know, spend a couple hours on it and then never look at it again, which I always found very interesting. So here's what I have found why advisors don't like doing planning, at least a lot of advisors don't. First thing is what I call negative anchors and associations. So what I mean by that basically is that in the past you've done planning, and either it was not meaningful to you because it was very what I'll call tech-driven, very logically driven, right? Very engineer-like, if you will, and it had no emotional juice to it. So it was, at the end of the day, it was meaningless. It was like doing a tax return. The second reason is that you've gone for it in the past, and, you know, for lack of a better word, you failed, and boy, that hurts, right? Another lost year, another insignificant year. And at some point you say to yourself, why bother planning? I don't accomplish it anyway. And, you know, you just kind of, you show up, right? And that's what you've got to be very careful. You've got to ask yourself, is the reason why I haven't achieved my goals, is the reason why the plan, or was it the execution of the plan? Now, I'm here to say to you right now, 9 out of 10 times, it's about the execution of the plan, not the plan itself. So that one's on you, unfortunately, right? But a lot of advisors do have these negative anchors. Oh, it doesn't work, it's a waste of time, it doesn't do anything for me. And again, I go back to not the right kind of plan, execution sucked, you had no accountability. Mostly what your bottom line needs is accountability to make sure your stuff gets done. That's the truth around this, and the associations. I said earlier, too analytical and numbers oriented. I mean, I see these spreadsheets, and, you know, and I get all this, and it's fascinating how some advisors, because they're just kind of wired that way, you know, from that perspective, is to really, they go about it. They do all these number crunching, return on assets. I mean, all this great stuff. And then I said to him at the end of the day, tell me why you want to do this. And there's normally silence on the other end because they haven't thought about the why. You know, I said, well, how'd you come up with it? You want to grow your business to X amount of dollars. Tell me why you want to go to 2 million. Like, give me the rationale for that, if you will. And tell me what that means to you, what it means to you personally, your family, professionally. You know, how's that going to wake you up? How are you going to wake up in the morning once that's accomplished? You know, tell me about that. And they can't because they made it an analytical exercise. So here's one thing I will say to you. If you take the challenge and come and spend 3 days with me, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, yeah, we're going to do numbers because numbers are part of the recipe, right? But you're going to know absolutely with the highest level of certainty on why you want to go do it, why you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, right? So again, if you're a concept of business planning and spreadsheets, like I said, can be a component of it, right? But you got to make sure you have all the other pieces around it going forward. Next piece, great plan. Now, what do I got to do every day, right? So in other words, we don't extrapolate down. So here's what's going to happen. In module number 7, which is our 1-year plan, what we're going to do is take the 1-year goal, break it down to monthly, and then look at the daily action items, the tasking, right? I call it the MAP, Massive Action Plan. And we're going to break it down. So you're going to know, so when you want to build your daily game plan, your monthly game plan, all you got to do is go to your business plan and say, okay, here's what I want to accomplish. Here's what I said I need to do on a monthly, daily basis, right? Boom. 80% of your daily game plan is going to be done because it's going to be well thought out. Remember, The trick here, or the strategy, if you don't like the word trick, the strategy here is you want to take every goal, every desire, every deliverable that you have for yourself and boil it down to what I call the lowest possible common denominator. Because if you can boil it down into a daily denominator, all you then need to do is focus on that day. Not what you did yesterday, what may you do tomorrow, but today. And there's a sense of clarity with that. And quite frankly, a lot of times, simplicity. That instead of doing all these things that feel like you're going south, hey, look, here are my core deliverables every day for my plan, right? All the other stuff is filler, distraction, junk a lot of times, but here are the core. That's what you need to accomplish, okay? Last piece is, and I see this, this is to me one of the interesting things about human behavior. Some of you will spend a couple hours, some of you will spend actually even a couple days, and you'll do this, you'll do your plan. And some of you, I've got clients that actually put like PowerPoints together, which I'm not going to go into that conversation. You spend all this time doing it, and you get excited, right? And you go, man, this is the year, right? How many of you are going to sit around New Year's and at the end of the year say, you know what, 2016 was an okay year, I got to make 2017 my best year ever, and then how many times have you said that in your career? And you sit there and say, well, another year down the toilet or another missed opportunity. You've got to find a way for accountability. And again, I know that sounds self-serving. I don't mean it to sound that way. But look, if you've been at this game 5, 10, 15, 20 years and you're not where you want to be, by all means, the last thing you want to do is go into a new year with the same process, right? You need to think about changing it just for the sake of change. Figure it out. Most advisors, look, we have people that operate in big firms here, the big wirehouses, the big firms. We have people that work inside of independent broker-dealers. We have people that work inside their own RIAs, their own businesses. We have them all here as members, right? And I'm here to say to you, I don't care what box you want to check on what you do and where you do it. If you don't have somebody that's going to call you on your crap and put your feet to the fire, 5%, look, I find 5 to 10% of people are self-motivated. 5 to 10% of advisors can be self-accountable. And if you're lucky you're one of those 5 to 10%, you know what? It's a gift. But if you're like the other 90%, think about how you want to approach that next year, what changes you want to make in your process and on your team for 2017. Next. Let's talk about the process, and I want to spend, again, a few minutes on this. And what I'm going to do is kind of lay out what we're going to do over the next several, really next 3 weeks, in essence, again, on these Wednesday webcasts, and then if you want to come for the whole full business planning process. So a couple things. Number one, my perfect world is we do not do this in our office. Now, literally 2 weeks ago, I invited some of my business partners and some of my, and actually all of my Magellan Mastermind members. We spent 3 days in Orlando, and people flew from Bermuda, Alaska, literally all parts of the United States, and obviously a different country, and they came together for 3 days because they knew that getting out of their day-to-day environment, going somewhere, makes a huge difference. Now, obviously, here, we're not doing this, you're not going to come down to Orlando, we're not going to spend 3 days in a meeting room doing that. So here's what I'm going to ask you to think about, and you got time. Again, we're going 19th, 20th, and 21st of December. Figure out how you want to do this. My recommendation is, because again, my perfect world, so here's what you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need access to GoToWebinar. So if you're not going to do it in your office, which is my preference, then I know what a couple of my clients, my personal clients, who are going to be doing this with us as part of this process. They're going to go get their iPad or their tablet, right? They're going to put the GoToWebinar app on, free, right? And then what they're going to do is actually go to the library, free, tap into their internet, free, headphones, good idea, right? Nobody want to listen. And what they're going to do is for that period of time, sit there with all the materials that, again, whether they're going to do it on their computer or they're going to handwrite it out, whatever they're going to do, they're going to have everything with them and they're going to do that. So what I need you to figure out for yourselves is, where do you want to do this? Now, if you have a team, great question. Do you put yourself in the conference room and tell the receptionist, hey, you know what, for the next 4 hours, we're in a meeting. And let me be also very upfront on everybody. In that 4 hours, I'm not going to sit here for 4 hours and go. There'll be breaks, just like we do live. Hey, we're going to take a 5-minute break, a 10-minute. I'm going to need a restroom break. I'm not going for 4 hours, so don't worry about that. But figure out where you're going to go. So whether it's a library, maybe your home office, maybe a Starbucks, maybe you've got a place that's your happy place, right? Go somewhere that in my perfect world, it's inspirational for you, right? Not your day-to-day environment. Next, block out the proper time. So again, part of this, the reason why I'm force-feeding this to everybody today is, I want to make sure that when you come on the 19th, if you're going to join us, and I hope you do, that you're ready to roll. So block out the proper time. So what do you need to block out? Well, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, 11:30 starts our basically registration, check it all out, things like that, and then we rock and roll from noon to 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 days. Next Wednesday, part 1 of the review and benchmark process, figure 30 to 45 minutes. The following week, part 2 of the benchmark process, 30 to 45 minutes. You may have to gather some information in terms of, and I'll put a note on that out, like number of clients this year, new assets, production, a number of referral source. There's some KPIs, which means key performance indicators that you're going to want to get around and block it out. Okay, and then obviously what I'll talk about on the 19th, 20th, and 21st is okay, what do you do after these sessions, right? Because reality is your plan's not going to be 100% complete. You'll be 80 to 90% there. How do you wrap it up and be ready to roll for 2017? So we'll talk about that. Next, like I said, examine your current results. The next 2 webcasts are going to be totally based on review and benchmarking. So just be aware of that, and we're going to cover that over the next couple of calls. Okay. Here's something I think is really important. Yeah, I'm going to have you go back this year because I want some, you need to know where your weaknesses are, and you also need to know where your strengths are. However, with that being said, I'm not here to dredge up the past and make all this other stuff happen. We're here to create a compelling future. And let me say this, because in my Orlando event, I had 30-year-old, well, actually no, 28-year-old to a 74-year-old in the room, right? My members, my partners, and you have to believe, and again, I can't make you believe, so I'm going to give you my core belief, that the upcoming year will be your best year ever. I don't care if you're 3 years in the business or 30 years in the business. You've got to believe that 2017 will be your best year ever. And I don't care about DOL, and I don't care about all the other stuff that's going on. It doesn't matter. There's always a way to get things done. Okay? It's about that future. Now, let's talk elements, and then I'm going to go through this, and then we'll do some Q&A, and then so everybody's all set to go. So here's some of the elements. So first off, we're going to do, again, next two webcasts, next 2 Wednesdays, review and recap of the current year, benchmarking. We'll take you through a great process on that live. Next, Module 1, and by the way, my gift to everybody here, I did not say this, as I'm gifting the review and benchmark to all members, Module 1 is going to be available to all members. So if you're not sure about this, come in and do Module 1 with me on the 19th, right? We're going to create a really, really cool deliverable, and some of you have already done this, so you'll be tweaking. So let me explain this. There are 2 types of people that are going to be coming to this event. People that have done this before, and so you're going to be editing, tweaking, clarifying, refining, things like that, right? And that'll feel one way. And then for some of you, it's the first time you're going to do it, and it's a whole new. And look, I'll be very upfront with everybody. It's questions you've never asked yourselves. I'm going to ask you things that you've never thought about. So there's going to be a wow, I've never thought about that, or wow, this is a lot to take in, or man, this is deep. Everybody goes through that the first time, whether you see me live, webcast, or you just do the videos. It's okay. It's your look, be there. So Module 1, right? Next, why do you do the things that you do, or more importantly, why don't you do the things that you know you need to do, right? So values, beliefs, behaviors, rules. We're going to do a deep dive into those. Again, this is a personal development business. I'm going to share with you and help you uncover what your POS is. POS stands for Personal Operating System. You're going to uncover your basic wiring. Why you do what you do, why don't you do things you need to do, and why you sabotage yourself. That's module number 2. Module number 3 is what we call your economic reality. The interesting part about our business, quite frankly, and this is interesting, is there are a lot of you who walk around making a couple $100,000 a year. You're in the top 1%, if not or at least the top 5% of all earners locally, and you feel like you're a failure. It's amazing to me. You know, I was at a conference not too long ago, and I spoke at it. And so, you know, there's the meeting was in one venue, then dinner was in another venue. And so we're waiting for these like little buses, I guess. And I'm standing there in line, and you know, I'm flanked by all the advisors, right? And one of them is my client, which is great. And you know, he made the comment to me. He goes, "Think about this. You know, look at all these $1 million producers who feel like they're absolute failures." And he's the one that said that. And the funny thing is, a lot of them turned around, they all shook their heads. I thought that was interesting. You know, remember this: the average family of 4 in the United States, median income, it's about $50,500. It varies region to region, but globally, last numbers I saw, $50,000 average family of 4. Some of you sit there and go, how do you exist on that, right? Never mind, that's the median, right? And some of you make 6 figures and you feel like you're failures. So we need to get a dose of reality, because here's the reality. Here's what has to happen. You've got to feel abundant. You've got to feel grateful in order to take it to the next level. So we're going to spend some time on that. We're going to do a really cool goal setting workshop. We're going to spend about 15 to 30 minutes on this, and I'm going to help you set economic goals, business goals, contribution goals, personal goals, fun goals, everything like that. We're going to just take you through a great goal setting workshop. Most people don't know how to set goals because they sit there and try to think about it too much instead of just going with a flow or rhythm. So I'm going to walk you through that. Very cool stuff. That'll be part of what we do. Next, the 5-year strategic plan, which is a couple pages. Now I'm going to have you go out to, I guess, what, 2017, 2022, right? For like, wow, I can't even, that's right, 2022, and say, hey, what do you want your business world to look like in 5 years? How many clients? What kind of revenue? What kind of office? What kind of team? What style of business? What do you want to be doing each and every day? How do you want your days to look? All that we're going to put as part of the process. Next piece, a personal development game plan. So here's the thing. All of you are the main product. At the end of the day, it's not about your planning, it's not about your portfolio, it's not about your service models, it's not about any of that. They buy you first. And so the better you that you can create, the better our business. For some of you who have been around me for a while, what have I always said? This is the ultimate personal development business. The better you become at you, the better your business is. It's unequivocal. Next thing we're going to do is come up with our top goals, and again, a map or an action plan for each. We're going to cover that. And then the last one, module number 8, is our business development and how that's going to go, and you know, what you need to do to drive business from. We're going to talk referrals and introductions, optimization, online, and whatever else you want to do. Networking. I'll share with you best practices, what I'm seeing, what's working, right, with my client base. We're going to spend all the time doing that, all right? And then the last couple things we're going to do is your morning ritual and your daily game plan. All right, so last thing, and then we'll do Q&A and get you out of here. Make a decision. Again, as I said, you can come for free and hang and learn, and you may not have access to all the materials, but you can come and at least let me help you. Or if you're an Elite Access member, you get all the goodies, that's fine. Like I said, there's not a preference here. Next 2 Wednesdays, we're going to do our 2016 review and benchmarking. So again, we're going to be a little different. I know in the past we've done kind of these type thing. So this will be a little bit more. This will be a little bit more live from that respect. And then the other thing real quick, so some of you are going to ask, and then we'll do Q&A. So how am I going to do this? So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have on one of my screens the actual business plan. So I'm going to be in Practice Power Academy, pulling up module number 1, question number 1, and instead of watching the video, what you're going to do is I'm going to walk you through it here as if you were sitting in front of me in a room. And we're going to do it like timed, right? And if you need more time, I'm going to have to keep a certain standard on things. At the end of each module, we'll do Q&A for a few minutes. So if you've got questions, again, as long as you have the GoToWebinar app, you can type it in, like I know Paul did, which I'm going to answer his question in a little bit. And I know, Tim, you did a little while ago also. I think I answered that one. And what's going to be here also, which you don't see here because it's not here right now, is a whiteboard. So I'm going to be drawing, doing stuff, leaf charts, everything like that. So just if you're in the room live, I'm going to be working with you for those 3 days. My whiteboard here, my colors, give a coach a whiteboard and watch out. It's like an addict, right? So we're going to kind of play with that a little bit. So I'll be going from the online right to here, working on the whiteboard. So it's going to be as interactive as I can make it. And again, you get to do it from the comfort of your own place, which is really cool. Just like I said, make a decision. My package would go to webinar. I do have my seats are limited. We're not going to put thousands of people on this thing. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, quite frankly. So I think we're about 50 or 60% capacity filled right now. So there's like 40% left. So, and I know they're going to get going. So they'll take advantage of that. And let me do some questions here real quick. So if you have a question, please submit it. Or I do believe also, if I'm accurate with this, let me see one real quick. If you want to, you could also raise your hand using GoToMeeting. So if you have a question, I'm going to handle Paul's real quick, and I may want to see if he's around. So what's the best process to take when contemplating a merger with another firm, both are RIAs only? So I'm going to see if I can let me see if I can find Paul first off. I don't want to answer it and not be accurate because I want to know exactly what he's got going on here. If I can find him real quick. If he's here, there he is. Okay. So, Paul, can you hear me? Can we hear you?
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks.
Good. So restate your question to me, and let me see if I can help you with this.
I'm a one advisor RIA shop, about $45 million, and I'm looking to possibly merging with another firm that's about $350 million. Go from a team of being just myself to a team of about 6 who are like-minded individuals with strategies. They would be taking over the compliance, all the things I don't particularly like doing. So I'm trying to simplify my life by 2017, as you keep saying.
Yes.
Year. Haven't accomplished it, but I'm trying. So I'm just not sure if that makes sense, or it's staying on your own and maybe adding another admin person. But that's just my question.
So would you be an IAR under them? Is that what the way?
I would be looking at having some ownership.
So you would actually, so it would be you actually an owner of the entity, not an AR. So you wouldn't be your own entity under their entity. You would actually own part of their entity.
Right. It's either I'm going to eliminate my firm and become part of their firm, either through some kind of arrangement, or our net goal would be to have some ownership in the, as I say, the mothership.
Right. So when do you have do you have a deadline on when you have to make the decision and let them know about this decision?
Well, it's an ongoing process. It's colleagues that I've known for 10 years. They want to open up in the Boston area, so they're at Pittsburgh. So it's just something I'm looking at and not sure exactly how to approach it.
Well, here's what I would say to you, and again, I don't know the status of your current planning scenario. So the first thing I would say is, it would probably be a good idea to go through the planning process and to get some clarity on the big picture stuff, right? Vision, ideal life and lifestyle. You may find that, based upon what you want to, how you want to operate, that being part of something larger with some more resources, things that you can go ahead and delegate out, may serve you better, right, in that regard. There's 2 ways you make decisions. I've helped clients with this on evaluating these scenarios. There's what I call the math, right, because the math has to work. but then there's the model, right? I call it math a model. And by changing your model, is it going to give you, is going to get you closer to your ideal life and lifestyle? So my thing I always say is, whenever you're going to make a business decision, after you look at the math, by making this decision or not making it, depending on what it is that going to get you closer to your ideal life and lifestyle? So that's something you've got to figure out is, based upon your current thinking of your ideal life and lifestyle, if you were to merge and get an ownership stake in this, would that serve the cause, right? Or wouldn't it? That's the way you've got to look at it, right? So there's the math, and then quite frankly, the other thing is not everybody plays well. Not everybody plays well with others in the sandbox. So sometimes there's possibly a reason why you built the business the way you did. Basically, like a soloist, right? You don't answer to anybody. You kind of, you're lord of your castle, and as I am lord of my castle here, right? I know myself, and I've done partnerships in the past, and I'll do joint ventures all day long. I love having joint ventures with people because I still have my own entity. But to do partnerships, that's like a marriage. And I got one in my life. I don't need two or three, right? So, that's something you got to really think through. So if you've got time to kind of contemplate and go through the process, like this upcoming month, I would say do that. The other thing you can do, which I'm totally cool with, if you want to have your potential colleagues plug into what we're doing, right? Again, they can just listen and be a part of it and kind of get a feel for the Kool-Aid. Again, they don't need to be paying members. It's not about the economics for me. If they want to grab a seat and take a peek at that, or a couple seats, as long as I got space, they can do that too. They just have to be members of PracticePower, and they can register for free. Your call on all that. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thanks for being here. All right, cool. All right. I think Tim, I answered your question, so I think we're good there. So unless anybody else has a question or want to raise their hand or anything, I'm going to get everybody get back to work. It's about 20 of. So if we're good, fine. So this is the way we're going to do it. So next week, if you're going to join us, I'm going to be inside of PracticePower, going over the review and recap and literally walking you live through it. So figure about 45 minutes next week and then 45 minutes the following week. You'll get that all wrapped up. That's what we're going to be doing. And hopefully you'll take advantage of my offer to come spend 3 days with me and work on a great plan for 2017. And with that, how do I become a member of PracticePower? Okay, so not thanks, Tim. Just go to practicepower.net. Just Google it. You can Google it. You'll see free member. Join now, free membership. So we don't ask you for a credit card or anything. Two-step process, and you can tool around a little bit, which is great. Here's what I say to you, Tim. If you're on this, if you're here, guess what? You probably are already a member, because this webcast is only for members. So this doesn't go to my blog list, or we don't push this out to LinkedIn or anything like that. If you're getting an invitation from me, we have you classified as a PracticePower member. So I would say that to you. So you probably already are. We've been doing PracticePower since 2006 or 2007. So a lot of people joined, forgot about it, right? And so you're still on our books. So keep that in mind. If you're here, chances are you're a member. You may not be an Elite Access member, but you are a member. So if you're here, 99% chance you're a member at some level. And by the way, for some of you who were Elite Access and let your Elite Access drop for whatever reason, you're still here. So it's just a question of whether you want to access all the materials or not. That's your call again. I'll leave that up to you. Okay, so Tim, like I said, I think you're already a member. You just may need to, if you try to log in, and if you try to join and it doesn't let you join, that means you're a member, so you may want to just request your password or your user ID. Okay? And I've taken up enough of everybody's time to thank you all for being here. I will see you all here next week. Again, be ready for a review and recap, part 1. Okay? Next lot. Have a great day. And with that, we are concluded for today. See you all back here in 7 days.